Just trying to free a reckless heart. Just trying to be as light as a breeze. The queen of art and Friday morning. The queen of art and Friday morning.
I think from a young age I was always into motorbikes, and the riding is a massive part of my life, and I feel like sometimes when I don't ride for a long time, there's something missing. The riding's definitely a big part of it, but I also really enjoy the building as well. Yeah, there is a little bit. I think the big thing for me is it's got to go fast. I'm not so much into the old worldly kind of stuff, just because I appreciate the vintage stuff and I appreciate the heritage and where we came from to get to where we are, but if it doesn't go fast, it just doesn't tickle my fancy show. You gotta race the bike, and you gotta get that release. I need that sort of thing, and it's nice to sometimes shut off and just go for a casual thing to clear my head, Especially too on the dirt bikes, I always race them, and it's nice to do some of the fun events too, where they're not serious. Things like Dust Hustle and Sunday Slide, it's really nice to break up the serious racing calendar for that. And yeah, the Harleys are just another expansion on that as well. I really enjoy riding the Blue Chopper. I don't necessarily, you see people staring or whatever, and I don't sort of, really notice them too much, because I just sort of get into my own little world and just sort of, cruise around and do it for myself. Yeah, I accept the dangers. I do feel safe. I push the dirt bikes to the level that I accept that I'm willing to fall off. There's always the possibility that you're going to hurt yourself, or you're not going to be here tomorrow. But I don't sort of dwell on that stuff, because you can get hit by a bus crossing the road and go on the colours. You know what I mean? I like the variety. I like, I'll give anything a go once. Well, Dad was a motorbike racer and a motorbike mechanic, and the motorbikes were just always around for me growing up. I started racing motorbikes when I was 12. Yeah, and it took me about 3 or 4 years to start getting competitive on it, sort of thing, to get on the podium, and it was just something that I loved, and I just love getting the thing into top gear. I get pretty focused on it, especially coming up to a race. My girlfriend's pretty good about it all, but she understands, and I take it very seriously, and I do get pretty passionate about it. Alright, so the 315 Speed Shop was something that started in my old shed, West Gosford, and progressed to here. I just build custom bikes basically, so I work at the engine shop at West Gosford 2 days a week, and apart from that, I'm here building custom bikes the rest of the time. So a lot of variety of stuff. I like doing the race bike, dirt bike stuff. The custom choppers are something that no one else really does too much of these days. I believe that custom doesn't come out of the box, so I make a lot of the stuff myself. That's a big part of my week. Yeah, pretty much everything gets modified. There's not much that stays standard. The engines always get turned up basically, and you've got to have the thing to handle and stop to cope with that. You've got to just draw a line in the sand somewhere, sort of thing, because they just keep going. They normally take me a couple of years, truthfully. They take a long time because I'm the only one who does everything on it. So from start to finish, mechanical, wiring, everything. I do the whole lot. So there's a lot of hours that go into the shop. The metal shaping is very rewarding when you have something in mind, and it starts with an idea and a bit of a sketch, and then just bending a piece of TIG wire and trying to get the lines right that you're chasing, and then transforming that into a frame or sheet metal, a guard or a tank or something like that. And when you get it right, it's very rewarding for me, and yeah, I really like them.
If you are not mine, I'm letting you go. I won't be your backup call, 'cause for such a long time my heart is on hold, dead for too long. When you're around, we never talk about the way we feel. You always leave a doubt. What if all of my love was yours? What if you were the one I chose? Would you throw me off like dirty clothes, or would we last forever?
I really like seeing the bikes getting around. I like it when someone comes to me with an idea, and it's something that maybe a little bit quirky or out of the box sort of thing, and seeing that come to life, and it's always an evolution of the idea. And yeah, when we get there in the end, it's a pretty cool thing to achieve. The engine building is a lot like kind of like jigsaw puzzles when you were a kid, sort of thing. I always had an interest in that sort of very motor skilled orientated stuff as a child. Yeah, very hands-on sort of thing, and building an engine is very much like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I spend a lot of my time building engines, actually. With my tool making and boiler making and mechanical background, it's all contributing to being able to do the whole lot, start to finish, under one roof sort of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of different skills that go into making up a completed motorcycle, and it's very cool not to have to outsource anything. It does get frustrating at times. It gets frustrating, and sometimes you just got to walk away from it. There's always multiple bikes in the build all over the place, and I don't really get mad. I'm not one of those sort of guys who throws things. I just, I'll give it a go for a bit, and if I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere, I'll just go and do something else for a while and just clear my head, and then come back to it, try and look at it from a different angle, and you work it out. It's pretty cool when the customer's always involved right along the process, start to finish, drop in a lot sort of thing, progression and photos and all that sort of thing. But yeah, when you finally finish it off and you've taken it for the shakedown and the test ride, and you can finally happily hand it over, most of the time by that point, if we weren't already before starting the project, we're normally really good mates by the end of it anyway, and it's a pretty cool feeling to finish something for one of your mates. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I for the 10 years before this, I had my shop at West Gosford, and I lived in my shed. And then having my shop at my house now is sort of the best of both worlds. You can shut the roller door, and if you've had enough for the day, and leave it behind, sort of thing. And it's really nice. I'm really lucky to be able to work from home. And there isn't many of us around, kind of thing, and it's quite the waiting list to try to juggle to get the jobs in and out, kind of thing. But yeah, it's there's always something to do, Shane. There's always something to do, mate. Yeah, the long track racing has always been my favourite out of all of the flat track racing. The long track was always the one that gelled for me the most. Since I was a junior, since I was 15, 16 years old. It was always the long tracks that I did good at, and they were always my favourite. They were always the ones I looked forward to, the ones I trained for the most, the ones that I always set the bikes up for the long track. Maybe I wasn't much good at the dirt track, but maybe it was that I just liked the long track more, and that was just the direction that I went with the sport. 500's cool to ride, and the twins class is really taking off in Australia now. It's been a long battle with the twins class. It used to be a very popular class. When I was a junior, it was a popular class, and I guess those older dudes in the sport that had the twins got out and still have their bikes at home. And the newer generation didn't take up the twins racing, but we forged ahead with it for the last sort of 8 years. I've been trying to get the twins class off the ground, and it's only been in the last sort of 3 or 4 that we've started getting full grid of twins. So that's a pretty cool thing that we've brought back to the sport, basically. A lot of people ask if I get nervous or whatever before a race meeting, and it's quite the opposite, really. It's I just get excited. I just love being out there, and I love being there with your mates and the racing community where we're all mates at the end of the day. We can be pretty competitive on the track, and during the race there's no friends in the track, but as soon as you see that checkered flag, then back to being the best of mates again. I raced the 450 for a long time, like everyone. There's such a nice bike to ride. They're plenty of power, easy to ride, all that sort of thing. But I grew up racing 2-strokes, and I turned 30 and decided that I wanted to relive that a little bit more, or just got sick of doing nothing in the pits all day, because you don't touch those 450. So the 2-strokes are really good fun. I'm enjoying them at the moment. I've been pushing that twin cylinder for the last few years, and I've got that to a point now that it's really good, and we've got a good class and all that sort of thing. And now for me, the 2-strokes are just fun again, and it's cool. We're starting to get 2-stroke classes back. Yeah, they sound the best. It's cool. It's very cool. It seems, especially in the last few years, I've been doing different things with different bikes, and not just racing the 450 and really pushing the twins class, and now trying to push the 2-stroke classes, and it's cool that everyone sort of encourages it and has my back on it. I like to try and include everyone in the sport, and you either had a 254 stroke or a 454 stroke, and that was it, and that had to change. That had to change, and we've got to get more variety. Number one, for the dudes racing, so you can ride a few different bikes and a race meet, but for the spectator point of view, you need the variety. It's boring watching the same thing go round and round all day long. It's cool hearing a 2-stroke just revving up the straight, compared to a 4-stroke. I can't see motorcycles ever not being a part of my life. I think, we are who we are, and I'm 38 years old this year. I don't see any way of slowing down or anything in the next, foreseeable future. If I'm ever going to stop, I don't know. We'll see how we go, I guess. If they think about 315 Speed Shop, maybe it was that dude that brought back all the cool classes of racing. That'd be pretty cool thing to be remembered by. If hey, remember that guy that got the 2-strokes back into racing and the twin cylinders and stuff? Yeah. Outside of needles.